They say death is the end, but what if it isn't? What if in those fleeting moments after your final breath, you awaken somewhere else, somewhere wrong, somewhere that wasn't meant for the living, but wasn't quite for the dead either? Elena Carter didn't believe in ghosts. She didn't believe in an afterlife, until the night she died, and something else took her place. The last thing Elena remembered was the cold rain hitting her skin, the sharp pain in her ribs as her car spun out of control, the blinding headlights. Then, nothing. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't in her car anymore. She was standing in a vast, empty street, the asphalt cracked and steaming. The buildings around her were warped, stretching impossibly tall, their windows black and hollow. The sky above was neither day nor night, just a swirling gray void, pulsing like something alive. She took a breath, or at least she tried to, but the air was thick, pressing against her lungs like wet cement. She wasn't alone. At first, they looked like shadows, flickering at the edges of her vision. But as she turned, she saw them more clearly, figures draped in tattered darkness, their faces stretched into unnatural smiles. They stood at the ends of the street, motionless, watching. Elena. The whisper slithered through the silence, wrapping around her like cold fingers. Her name, spoken by something that shouldn't know it. She turned sharply. A woman stood a few feet away, pale as bone, her dark eyes locked onto Elena's. She looked familiar, like a reflection in a broken mirror. "Elena," the woman whispered again. "You don't belong here." Elena's pulse, if she even had one, thundered in her ears. "Where is here?" The woman's lips curled into something between a smile and a grimace. "The hollow." Elena swallowed. "I don't understand." "They took your place." Elena's body went rigid. The shadows shifted at the edges of the street, their smiles widening. She turned back to the woman. "Who took my place?" The woman stepped closer, her form flickering like she wasn't entirely there. "You, but not you." Elena's stomach twisted. Suddenly, the silence shattered. A sound, distant but unmistakable. A heart monitor, beeping. Elena's breath caught. A hospital? Was she alive? The shadows around her shuddered, their smiles twisting into something hungry. The woman's voice sharpened. "They let you slip through, but if you want to go back, you have to run." A violent wind tore through the street. The sky cracked open, revealing an endless black void. The figures began to move, jerky, unnatural, their limbs too long, their heads tilting in grotesque angles. Elena turned and ran. The city distorted around her, buildings stretching, streets unraveling beneath her feet. The whispering voices grew louder, merging into an unearthly wail. And then she saw it. A doorway. Standing alone in the middle of the street, white light spilling through its frame. "Elena!" The woman's voice rang through the chaos. "Go!" Elena didn't hesitate. She threw herself forward just as the shadows lunged. A gasp. Elena's body jerked upright, air flooding her lungs. Fluorescent lights, a sterile hospital room, the beeping of machines. She was alive. A nurse shouted for the doctor, but Elena barely heard them. Her skin was ice cold. Her mind raced. Something was wrong. Slowly, she turned her head to the chair by her bed and froze. A woman sat there watching her. Her face was pale, her dark eyes identical to Elena's. She smiled and whispered, "You don't belong here."